everybody. This is Diana from So Very Crafty, and we are here today to make a very simple beginner baby bonnet that anybody with basic sewing skills can make. This project is so simple. I used a fat quarter and of course a little bit of Kona cotton, as I'm wont to do, to make this project today. In fact, I have half a fat quarter left so I could make 2 of these baby bonnets if I wanted to. This was a super simple project to make, and I hope you enjoy it today. If you do, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and ding that bell for notifications so that you can have all the So Very Crafty videos in your inbox whenever they come out. And if you'd like more sewing and crafting tutorials, head over to www.soverycrafty.com for loads more sewing and crafting tutorials for the beginner and intermediate sewist. So for today, let's get started on this terrific little baby bonnet pattern. So, how do we get started on making this adorable beginner reversible baby bonnet? This is such a simple little project to make. All you need are 2 pieces of fabric, some ribbon. I didn't have any ribbon today, so I just made my own, and a 4-inch piece of 5/8" elastic. And that's it. That's all there is for this project. And so let's get started. What we're going to do is we are going to take 2 pieces of fabric that measure 9 inches by 14 inches. And we are going to place them right sides up on our workstation. And we're going to place them right sides together. Once we've placed them right sides together, we are going to measure 1/2 inch from the bottom. And I'm just going to use my ruler here. Make a mark. Do the same thing for the other side. Make a mark. And I'm going to insert my ribbon. In this case, I didn't have any ribbon to use today, so I just used my outer fabric, my main fabric, rather than my reversible fabric, to create some ribbon that's about 1/2 inch wide. You can use a 1/2 inch or say 5/8" ribbon for this, or you can make your own. It's pretty simple. It's just like making a bag handle. Take a 1-inch piece of fabric, fold the long ends into the center, and then fold it in half, stitch on both sides, and you have a long piece of ribbon-like fabric that you can use for ties for your baby bonnet. But ribbon works just as well, and it's a lot faster to do. So we're going to take our ribbon. In this case, I have folded in the short ends of my fabric pieces, so I know that there's a raw edge and a short edge. I'm going to take my raw edge and I'm going to place it in between my 2 pieces of fabric on the 1/2 inch mark. And I'm just going to pin it there. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side, making sure that the raw edges are what's aligned on the 1/2 inch mark. And I'm just going to pin that just like that. Now essentially we are going to push these ribbons inside of our 2 pieces of fabric. And these 2 pieces of fabric are going to be our little baby bonnet today. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to make some additional marks. Or you can just go over to the sewing machine and sew these. But for you today, I'm going to make some marks on my fabrics. From the top of our fabric, we are going to measure 1/4 inch down, and we're going to make a mark. And you may not be able to see this on your fabric, but I can see it on mine. Just make a 1/4 inch. And you can do that on both sides. Then you're going to measure down 7/8 of an inch. And you're going to make another mark. This one's a little more difficult to see because it's on the black fabric, so I'm just going to put a pin here. And we're going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to put a pin here. Now these marks are important because we are going to be putting elastic into our baby bonnet, and this is going to help us create a casing for our elastic that is going to be the back part of our bonnet. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to stitch our fabrics together. We are going to start at the top. We're going to stitch down just to this 1/4 inch, jump over, start stitching at the 7/8 inch mark, stitch down all the way across, stitch up to our next 7/8 inch mark, stop, and stitch up here our 1/4 inch, and we're going to leave a little opening up here at the top so that we can turn this right sides out. So for now, we're just going to stitch down 1/4, skip 7/8, down all the way down the side, the bottom, and up the top to the 7/8 inch mark, skip, and then across the top, leaving an opening for turning. So I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and I'm going to do that. And keep in mind that when you stitch this together, these ties will be stitched right along with it, so you won't have to worry about keeping those ties where they need to be. So let's head over to the sewing machine and let's stitch this up. Here we are at the sewing machine, and I am going to start stitching on my top mark, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm just going to, and I have a 1/4 inch foot on my machine, so I can just use the edge of my presser foot, and I'm just going to stitch down 1/4 inch. I'm taking my time here, and I'm going to back stitch because it's just a short distance. Now I'm going to jump down to my 7/8 inch mark. I'm going to drop my needle down, remove my pin, and stitch down the side of my 2 fabrics, making sure that the raw edges are aligned. When we get to the bottom, we're going to lift up our presser foot with our needle down, continue stitching along. Make sure that you do not stitch on these ties. So just make sure they're inside there and continue with the 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now we're back up to our 7/8 inch mark. I'm just going to back stitch here a little bit. I'm going to go back up to my 1/4 inch mark. And now we're going to stitch across the top, but we're going to leave an opening for turning. So that's all we need to do for now. Let's head back over to the workstation and move on to our next step. Now, here we are back at the workstation. We're going to take our fabric pieces and we are going to clip the corners close to the stitching, but making sure we do not clip through the stitching so that we can have some nice pointy corners. And let's turn this right sides out. You'll see that our ties are right where they need to be, and we have a hole here which is where our elastic is going to go for our casing. Now we need to close this opening up. I'm just going to use some Wonder Clips here. Now you can use your machine for this if you want to, or you can use ladder stitch. And ladder stitch is also known as invisible stitch. And basically what it does is it is a hand stitch that looks invisible when it's done. And that's what we're going to use here today, is invisible stitch or ladder stitch to stitch this closed. That way we'll get a little more professional look for what we're going to be using our project for today. So I'm going to take a needle and thread, which I've already threaded here. And I'm going to start going in the opposite direction so I can hide my thread tail inside of my project. I'm going to turn back around, and then I'm going to stitch in the fold of my fabric just like that. And you can't even see that stitch. I'm going to go directly across to the outer fabric and stitch down the fold, pull that closed, and go immediately directly across to the other side. And it creates what's called a ladder effect. And I'm just going to continue to stitch this until it's closed, going down the fold, across, down the fold, and across. And I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm back, and as you can see, you can't see the stitches that I've used to close this up. Now it's time for me to add the elastic to our baby bonnet. So I'm just going to take a safety pin and I'm going to stick it into our, actually I take that back. What we're going to do next is we are going to stitch a line right across the 7/8 inch mark so that we create a casing for our elastic. So let me head over to the sewing machine. I'm just going to stitch a straight line right across here, and we'll put in our elastic and we'll finish up this project. So I've stitched my straight line. I'm going to insert my elastic. And keep in mind, this is a very short piece of elastic. So once I get it to the edge of my fabric piece here, I am going to pin this and make sure that you turn your fabric pieces under. And I'm going to continue to feed this elastic through my project until I get to the other end. Now we are at the other end. And you can see just how short this is. And we are going to pin this other end of our elastic to the folded under ends of our fabric pieces. And we're going to head over to the sewing machine, and we're just going to stitch right along here to secure this elastic to our fabric pieces. And once we've done that, we will have finished this project and our little baby bonnet will be finished. So I'll be right back. So that's it for our project for today. I have stitched our elastic and it stretches, and our little baby bonnet is done. I've got this little head here, and you can see how our baby bonnet fits. The head is a little bit bigger than a baby's head or a toddler's head, but you can see how it fits right on there. Ties underneath. Very cute. So that's our project for today. It's a cute little baby bonnet that anybody with beginner sewing skills can make in no time. It is very, very simple. Just a couple of pieces of fabric, some ribbon, and a piece of elastic, and you have a super simple beginner baby bonnet that anybody can make. I hope you enjoyed this project today, and if you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and ding that bell for notifications so that you can get all future Sew Very Crafty videos in your inbox. And if you want more sewing and crafting tutorials, head over to www.sewverycrafty.com so that you can get loads and loads of more sewing and crafting tutorials, more for the intermediate sewist than the beginner sewist that we have here on the YouTube channel. So I urge you to head over to the website if you want more difficult and more complicated projects, or there's some beginner projects there too. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this project today, and I will see everybody for our next project next time. Bye!